that it kind of passed me by over the last decade. So I did that, and then I moved to Orlando, and I've been back making TV commercials ever since.
But what got you in writing books?
I wrote books since I was a kid. I just wasn't very good at it at the beginning, so no publisher wanted to pick me up.
I have a little story I'll tell you. The last 60 seconds. I had a publicist get a hold of me, like a year and a half ago, and say, "Hey, this guy wrote a book about something like The Walking Dead, between a brother and sister that they're the only ones that survived." And, they bugged me for months to get this guy on about his book. And then I get him on the show, and he's booked for 2 hours. And I said, "Okay, can you tell us about your book?" "Well, I don't want to talk about my book because then nobody will buy it." "Well, can you tell me something about it?" "Yeah, it's about a brother and a sister, and, the it all happened. Everybody, came down with a disease and they turned into zombies." I said, "Okay, can you tell me more?" "No, I can't tell you anymore."
Damn.
For 2 freaking hours, I had to sit there and remember every zombie movie I ever, watched and could remember and talk about it, because this guy wouldn't say anything. And afterwards, I got a hold of his publicist the next day. I said, "Why did you do this?" And they said, "Well, the guy's book is really good." And I said, "The guy's book's so good." I asked him on the air, "How many books have you sold?" And he said he sold 1 to his friend in a year. Now, is that telling me how good of, I don't know. So that's my story about a bad author. So, I mean...
How about that? That's your story about bad publicists. How about that? Jesus.
Well, they were doing their job. They were trying to get him booked on radio shows. Unfortunately, thank God, at that time, my show didn't have many listeners, because now the listenership is well over 1 million listening between the internet and radio stations. I couldn't have survived that.
Right. Well, my first book...
Oh, before you get into that, I got to tell everybody, we're on Facebook Live. We're going off now. You can catch us on our website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com, or just type in Night Dreams Talk Radio on your browser, and then click on the live, and you'll be able to hear the show live. Or you can go to the speaker app and type in Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you can hear us there. Now we can go at it.
Oh, why are we going off of Facebook?
Well, because maybe I might want to pick my nose, and I can't do it as long as we're on a live cam.
Yeah. You're live. Oh, okay, I understand now.
Well, we're live on radio stations and on the internet, but we were doing a video, of the show for the first hour.
That sounds like a fun profession. I need to do that.
Not really. I'm 68 years old. I don't have the face for TV. When I first started out, I went to Fairbanks, Alaska, and I did weather. And I just didn't feel comfortable, with a camera facing my face. I like the microphone.
Right. Well, there's good thing there's a lot of weather in Alaska.
Yeah. It's going to snow. Not nowadays, you could say it's going to be sunny and 90. But I mean, back then it was like, hey, it's going to snow.
Again.
Yeah, again. And it's going to be dark.
It's going to be dark, and the sun's going to be gone for 6 months, and everybody's SOL. Why did you move here? We're a special people in Alaska. That's why.
I moved there because they offered me a lot of money. Of course, then after I had to buy all the clothes to, because it was cold. And then they didn't explain to me the cost of living was like 3 times higher than it was up in Seattle at the time. So, yeah, they offered me a lot of money, and I actually was making less money than I was before I left.
I have friends in the Bellingham area, and they tell me about Seattle all the time. I say to them, you get 70% rain, we get 70% sunshine. We get more rain than you do. Why don't you move here? So, What's topic number one? Pick a topic. I'm full of anything. I'm wide awake now.
Okay, it's better than not being awake. Of course, there's a time difference. What is it? What time is it there? About 11 something your time?
It's 11:17.
11:17 on the hour. Okay, yeah. But you know what? Why don't we talk about like UFOs, abductions, and stuff like that? That is like one of the hottest subjects out there right now. I tell you, last night I had the highest listener count that I had in months. We had Terry Lovelace on, who was a former U.S. Assistant Attorney General, that claimed in 1977 he went camping and him and his buddy were abducted, taken aboard a UFO, and stripped naked and brainwashed and all that. There it is. There's last night's show.
Well, I'm glad that didn't come out in the hearing for his confirmation.
Yeah.
But I don't have a lot of good things to say about abduction. I've had friends trying to, I wrote a book back in 2004 called The Human Quantum Leap, and that actually did sell about 40,000 copies, not two. But people have been on me to re-release the book. Technically, it's on Amazon, but I have to do a lot of re-editing because the protocols have changed so much since the first time that I published it. And The Human Quantum Leap is about, or was originally about, my friend Josh. And, I had to go bring up my notes and everything from the book because everything I went through with Josh, some of it was so detailish. I don't keep all this stuff in my head all the time anymore. But so the story starts in 1980, and Josh and I meet one another on Paris Island in South Carolina, which is the training depot for the United States Marine Corps. We had both enlisted, and we were going through training, and we were part of the same training company. And it started as a curiosity about the test that we take to get into the military, ASWAS or something like that. I forget what the name of it was. I had attended a parochial school all my life, so when I scored a 92 on that, I thought to myself, I could have gotten another 4 or 5 points out of that, no sweat, because I was used to getting grades like that, and I was not at all surprised. And Josh, we started asking around about those tests among our fellow Marines, and I discovered he got a 96. Then we found out that we couldn't find anyone who had scored higher than 64, and most people had scored somewhere between 50 and 55, well, 48 and 55. So we thought we were special, and so we became friends. And that was the beginning of a saga that goes something like this. We went through training together. We finished training together, but I had an accident, okay? And after all that training, I actually got an honorable discharge from the Marine Corps. Josh, on the other hand, went off into military intelligence. And so he went off and he spent at that time it was 26, 28 weeks at 29 Palms, California, affectionately referred to in the Marine Corps as 29 Stumps. And if you haven't been there, you're missing absolutely nothing. There's nothing to see except desert and more desert. And anyway, Josh went through there, and he actually got deployed in the intelligence field, but right around 82, right around after he had been in the Marines in that section for not quite 2 years, this was the first Reagan administration. And they were downsizing, or they were becoming more efficient, or they were doing something very politically correct with the military because Ronald Reagan was the president of the United States. And so Josh, his unit that he was a part of was disbanded, and he was reassigned. I think in the Marine Corps today, they call it like a security detail. And but he had very high security clearance. And Josh wound up doing things like escorting people who didn't have like nuclear security clearance into nuclear zones or high security bases. And he would act as their escort and supervision for whatever reason they had to go in there. And it was a do nothing job. At first, Josh thought, well, I got another year left, and I guess I'm going to leave the Marine Corps. They don't need me or anything. And then along came this fellow that Josh simply referred to him as John, and he never ever called him anything else. And it turned out that John wasn't born on this planet.
Okay. Did he look human in every sense?
Well, you see, there's a story behind the story now. Okay. John did look human. Okay, but he looked creepy human. He was tall, he was lanky, and he had skin that was almost like leather. I mean, he looked like, if you looked at him from afar, he just looked like a guy with a tan. All right? And he looked Caucasian, too. But when you got up close to him, and I only got up close to this man one time in my entire life, and I was glad to get the hell out of there. When you got up close to him, okay, his skin looked kind of creepy and leathery and everything. And so eventually we go down the line of decades later after these events, and finally, in a moment of complete inebriation, I asked Josh why John looked like that. And he looked me in the eye and said, because he's an avatar. I said, and this is before the movie Avatar, way before the movie Avatar. I had no clue within this context. Okay, we can think Avatar now because we have that great movie to think about. But back then, when he said that phrase to me, I just looked at him like, duh, what in God's name is an avatar? Okay? And he explained to me that John is basically in two places at once. And he was here doing whatever it is that he was doing here, and he was in his home, wherever that was, at the same time. And why that is because, contrary to popular culture, for example, we go around looking for planets like Earth that we could possibly colonize after we develop our warp drive. And Josh looked at me and said, there is no other planet like this planet. There are planets with a little less gravity that we could possibly survive on, maybe. There are mostly planets with more gravity where we couldn't survive on. And he says, each of the biospheres are very different, and they are biohazards to anyone who wants to go and visit. So if you want to come and visit with the Earth people, you have to grow yourself a body to survive inside our environment, because our environment is extremely hostile to anyone from any place else. So basically, John was a bioengineered something, or an avatar. Let's call it avatar. That's what he called it. So a bioengineered avatar, and that's how John communicated.
That is
to an avatar.
Interesting. Yeah, again, people think that other aliens or whatever